Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking. Today, I want to title my episode Weapons Against Bad Aliens. Okay? Well, it looks like non human beings who may want to, harm us are vulnerable to conventional weapons. Um, if they're shot square on and we get a clear shot at it before some of them may be able to go into like a dimensional mode, or they may be able to go through some type of a wall, an impenetrable wall. If we get this square shot, we can shoot them down, and I believe we have shot some of them down actually, because one of the things that I've heard from insiders, I will call it, that the aliens have these beam weapons. They call them some of them are called flash guns that are very powerful and deadly at close range. And our government has been developing weapons for probably over 40 years to defend our territories above and below the ground, since there are underground alien bases on Earth. And some of the weapons I just want to talk about briefly today that are actually weapon projects that basically have been used and will be used in the future if needed to defend ourselves against non-alien type beings are as follows. Number one is something called the Joshua Project, and it is a low-frequency pulse-generating weapon. It can level structures 2 miles away, and it was developed in California, and it's been tested in New Mexico. Then there's the Gabriel Project. It is a high-pulse sound-generating device. It seems to be effective against alien craft and their weapons. It may have been responsible for other alien crashes in the past. I think it's been used several times in New Mexico, according to my sources when I lived in New Mexico. Then number three is something called the Excalibur. That is used or can be used to destroy underground bases. It is a missile system that has this penetrating weapon that can go down as far as 1,000 feet with a nuclear warhead that can do some really mass destruction of an underground base. It also seems that the Russians have been playing with this beam quantum technology. It has been rumored that it was they had developed it back as early as the Vietnam War, and they used it or they supplied it to the Viet Cong. And these were actually kind of portable, I would call them pulsar bazookas, is what I was told. And they were used somewhat sparingly during the war. I think they were still experimental. But I had talked to some Vietnam War veterans that described some very strange weaponry that was used. And that's what I believe they're talking about. Also, these bazookas were also supplied against NATO during the Bosnia War. There was some very similar descriptions of weapons, kind of handheld type weapons that were used during the Bosnian War. So there are these other weapon systems which are very similar to the pulsar ones that are called scalar weapons. And they come in different shapes and forms, and this is more recent. They call them the Flex handhelds. They also were on satellites, even satellites in the Star Wars type programs during Ronald Reagan. And these stellar weapons can be placed on ships, subs, UFO type things, government Earth UFO type craft. These weapons basically destroy nervous systems of the body, can kill all cellular matter at high frequency levels. And of course, they can be used and maybe have been used against alien beings. Okay? And then there's something called the bunker busters. These are the ones that were used in Iraq during the shock and awe period when we first went there. These were kind of part of the Excalibur type weapon systems. And of course, we don't want to also forget, and I briefly touched on it, the SDS, the Star Wars defense systems. And the Star Wars defense systems, I was told, really got the aliens really upset, only because of their even existence. Because basically the whole deal was that these were put on satellites, or were going to be put on satellites. Eventually, they were put on big B-52 bombers, and were kind of moving around the world for a period of time. I don't know what has happened to them recently, but they were pretty active for about 10 years is what I was told. And I was told from a very high source in the government exactly what they were all about. So I'm not 100%, let's go back to the underground bases. I'm not 100% sure that, the underground bases are loaded with bloodthirsty, big-eyed alien beings. But the U.S. has been, designing and making weapons to go after these underground alien bases. So all I want to say is, let's keep our eyes and ears open, because I think there's bigger and more powerful weapons that are going to be developed in the future, in the near future, actually. I believe that the Russians have been fighting very similar battles with the aliens, underground bases, and maybe above the ground UFO type situations. One of the most recent weapons that we've all heard about is these hypersonic missiles that the Russians and the Chinese both claim they have. I guess North Korea has also claimed to have shot a couple, tested a few of these hypersonic missiles. My guess is we have the hypersonic missiles too, and these would be missiles that could keep up with some of the UFOs that are, moving around our Earth. So, anyways, but I will tell you this, I would not hope to have a war with any alien group. I would probably put my money on the aliens to beat us, and beat us quickly, and beat us badly. So let's not go that way as an all-out war. Anyways, that's some of the weapons we've developed, and some of the reasons we developed those weapon systems are because of threats we perceive from aliens and alien UFOs. So with all that said, thank you very much. Bye-bye.